والتسليم على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا وقدوتنا محمد عليه أفضل الصلاة وأزكى التسليم. اللهم علمنا بما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما يا رب العالمين. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Everybody, welcome Saturday morning to beginning classical Arabic. Let's keep it rolling. We're almost at the end of this lesson. Then we get to move on to something new. Where we slowly, oh, that's not the right thing. Hold on. Don't want to see me clean my C drive. We want to see the Arabic. All right. Okay, so we're almost at the end of this lesson. And the next lesson is very much the same thing with just one little additional wrinkle, which is we're going to start to be introduced to past tense verbs in the feminine, okay? And we're going to be working a little bit more with feminine forms. So that is exciting stuff. Okay, let's go. So our exercise here, اقرأ واكتب, read and write. Okay, and that's a perfect segue for the reminder that writing is so beneficial, especially at this stage, to have a notebook and to literally just, if in your spare time, 10 minutes before you go to bed, keep it next, on your nightstand, 10 minutes of just writing, copying what's, in the lesson, this sort of stuff. It's going to bring everything together into your head. And it's going to cement it and make everything congeal in a really nice way. So let's start with the Sayyid family. Could someone do number one?
Okay, I'll try my best.
Okay.
من في هذا البيت.
Good. Okay. Read the response. Yeah.
فيه حمد.
Good. Okay. Now translate that for us.
Hold on. Whose house is this? Oh, who's in the house? Sorry.
Very
Who's
good. Good. No, that was okay. I mean, they're very close. Yes. Who is in this house?
Yeah.
And so is it min or men?
Man.
Good.
Yeah.
Excellent. Good. Fantastic.
And then Hamid is inside, I guess.
Yes, exactly. Literally, in it is Hamid, which we would never say in English. We would say Hamid's inside. Okay, excellent work. Good job. And that brings us back to our question from before that we've come, across many, many times, which is, how on earth do we tell? Oh my Lord, they took away our small vowels. We don't know if it's min or men or whatever, but if you kind of go ahead with your eyes a little bit, you can tell from the context that it can only be one of them. Min fi hadha al-bayt wouldn't really mean anything, right? From in this house is nonsensical. So that is process of elimination, has to be men. Good. Dr. Muhsin, if you're there, number two.
ماذا في الحقيبة حقيبة ماذا في الحقيبة I guess. فيها كتابي وقلمي ودفتري.
Good. Okay. Translate for us.
What is in the bag?
Yes.
And book, pen, and notebook is in the bag or is in it.
Okay, that's good. Any notebook, any pen, any
This
Mine. No, mine.
al.
That's what. Yeah.
Oh, kitabi.
Mine.
Oh, in my book, yeah, kitab.
Yes.
My book, my.
Yes. Very good. My book, my pen, my notebook is in it, right? Or, in English we say my book, my pen, and my notebook is in it, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Very good. Okay. My only correction for you would be fil haqiba ti instead of fil haqiba tu, because it's after fi. It's a prepositional phrase.
Yeah.
anything that's after a preposition has to be majroor. Okay, great.
But
So then
it-
one thing that we notice here. Oh, sorry, does someone have a question?
yes, so isn't it then they should or they would have written with the yeah yeah in it, like instead of this the last word of haqiba.
Oh, good, good, good. Excellent, excellent. So this is our difference between a kasra and a yeah. And so this is important for the meaning. You're 100% right. If we had ماذا في الحقيبة T, short kasra, this is what is in the bag,
Okay.
right? Because it has alif lam, right? And so alif lam is the definite particle, meaning the. And it simply has a kasra because it is in the genitive case. We're talking about relationships of place here. And so that's communicates that for us in Arabic. If we had ماذا في حقيبتي with a ya, and I see the confusion because I was kind of emphasizing the e sound, and so I made it sound probably like a ya. This would be what is in my bag. Right? Do we see the difference there? Now, note that if we have a possessive pronoun, we cannot have a definite article. It's a seesaw, right? They both can't simultaneously be present. It has to be one or the other. Why that is because each of them render that noun definite, right? If I say haqibatun, haqibatun is an indefinite noun, literally a bag, right? If I say the bag, I've now specified it. I'm intending by what I say just one bag. The same thing is achieved if I say my bag, haqibati. I've made something indefinite definite, right? So we have two different ways here to make something definite. If I add the alif lam, it means the bag, which makes it definite. And if I add the ya, I make it definite by referring to my bag, which is also why they can't both be present, because we only have one, or the possibility of one of them making it definite. We can't have the my bag, right? It would be redundant because my bag already implies that it's definite. It implies that we know which one I'm talking about, just like the does. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Thank you. Yes.
Okay. No, good question. Great. Okay, so one of the things they have this highlighted in a different color, which is they want us to understand that we are not repeating the nouns in the answers in this particular exercise. We're simply relying on the possessive pronouns. Instead of, if we were to respond in an extremely formal way, you were talking to your teacher or your professor, right? من في هذا البيت, the full sentence that we would require in school from our children would be في هذا البيت حامد, right? In this house is Hamid. Literally, in English, Hamid is in this house. But most people don't actually talk that way. They use pronouns of various sorts to refer to the noun that was just mentioned a second ago. And we generally, operate under the assumption that the people we're talking to are smart enough to be able to figure out what we mean. So, من في هذا البيت, هذا البيت is the noun that we're talking about. فيه حامد. Hamid's in it, or Hamid's in there. The possessive pronoun being used here is who, which is the masculine third person, right? And it's only changed to a kasra instead of a dhamma because of a phonetic concern with fi. So fihu violates Arabic phonetic rules, and so they simply made it fihi so that it was easier to pronounce and say. Down here in the second one that we had, ماذا في الحقيبة, al-haqiba, as you've noticed, is a feminine now. It has a ta marbuta on the end. And so it requires a different possessive pronoun to refer to it. Fiha, kitabi, wa qalami, wa daftari. Right? So we have fihi and fiha. Yes, Sister Musara.
I didn't understand why it should have a dhamma because it comes after preposition.
Why? What should have a dhamma? Who?
The ha.
Yes, because it's fixed. Because prepositions are mebni, right? So preposition.
Yeah, so the ha comes after a preposition, so it should have a kasra, no?
No, it would not have a kasra because the prepositions are fixed. They're mebni. And the definition of something that's mebni is that it's not going to change its ending to reflect grammatical case, right? So the who is fixed. The ha is fixed. It's not going to change for grammatical case, right? It's not going to, it's not a dhamma because it's marfu'. It's a dhamma mabni ala dhamma. It's fixed upon a dhamma. Or in this case, it's fixed upon a fatha. The only reason that it changes here, it does not change because it's after a preposition. It changes for a phonetic reason and not
Okay.
a reason.
So do you mean pronouns are mabni, or did you, because you said prepositions are mabni?
Oh, I misspoke. I'm sorry. Yeah.
So pronouns are mabni?
Pronouns are mebni. Yes.
Okay.
And T, right? It's never N2, right? And like, because it, like, let's imagine it's in the case, in the nominative case of marfu', right? It's not N2, you, because it's marfu'. No, it's enta always, whether it's subject, object, after a preposition, whatever have you, because it's fixed. The same with the possessive pronouns. The ya for e, kitabi, kitabu ka, kitabu hu. They're all fixed in the sense that they do not change to reflect changes in grammatical case. But however, there are phonetic concerns to take into account, as we see here. Good stuff. Any other questions? We'll go to number 3, and you're up, Sister Musarrat. Number 3.
من في السيارة فيها أبي وأمي وأخي وأختي.
Very good.
Who is in the car? In it are my father and my mother and my sister. And my brother and my sister.
Fantastic. Very good. So, like we said last class, we're at elementary level conversation here. We're saying, and this.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to make it correct in English.
No, that was exactly what's on the page. So no harm in it. I get criticized a lot actually for in translation work because there's different philosophies or schools of translation, right? And some of them prefer more literal translation that sticks to exactly what's on the page, whether it sounds good in the target language or not. And I'm of the kind of the opposite school where I much prefer to preserve the meaning, but to make something sound eloquent in the target language. And there's room for difference in that, no problem. Number 4. Okay, number 4, we're on Brother Sa'ir. Welcome back.
Thank you. Jazakallah khair. Number 4, من في مسجد الجامعة الآن ما فيه أحد.
Very good. Oh, nice. Translate for us or give it a shot.
من في مسجد. Who is in the masjid? Who is in the masjid? الجامعة. Like Jama? What group is in the masjid?
Do you remember what the word Jamia means? Jamia means university.
University, okay.
So what's the sentence trying to ask?
Who are in the university's masjid?
Good, excellent. Okay. And the university's masjid, what's the relationship between those two words? Is the relationship one of adjective and noun, or is it possessor and possessed? Mudaf ilayh?
one is adjective and one is noun.
Okay. If one is adjective and one is noun, that means it has to agree. If masjidi, you said fi masjidi, then
Oh,
jamia
that is
has to be with a kasra as well.
jamiati, noun.
Okay. However, we have a problem. We have a problem. We also said when we learned about adjective and noun pairs, right? There's a noun and there's adjective describing the noun. It had to agree in 4 things. Everybody remember that? Can we recreate what those 4 things were? Sarah, do you remember some of them? One of them I just gave you. So it has to agree in grammar,
They have to agree in grammar.
grammatical case, has to agree in number. Okay. So if one of them is singular, the other one is singular. If one of them is plural, the other one's plural. It has to agree in gender. One of them's masculine, the other one's masculine. And it has to agree in whether it's definite or indefinite. Okay. Masjid,
Okay.
see where I'm going?
Yes, now I see it, because masjid is not definite.
It does not have an alif
And
lam,
then
right?
yes, it doesn't have alif lam. Yep.
And so it's not sifa mawsuf. It's not an adjective noun pair. It's actually mudaf mudaf ilayh. It's possession, which you said in English. The university's masjid, meaning that the university owns the masjid. Right.
Noun.
But the result is still the same, right? So this is, I'm really glad that Sa'id made the mistake and said al-jami'atu, because if he had said masjid al-jami'ati, maybe he was thinking that this was sifa mawsuf. Maybe he was thinking this was a noun and its adjective pair, and he would have been wrong, even though it would have led to the same result. The actual relationship between these 2 words is one of possession, mudaf mudaf ilay, and so masjid just happens to be majroor with a kasra due to its coming after a preposition. Okay, but al-jami'ah has to have a kasra because it possesses masjid. Remember our rules about mudaf mudaf ilay. The first part of mudaf mudaf ilay, it does not have a fixed grammatical case. It could be marfu', it could be mansub, it could be majroor, it could have a dhamma, a fatha, a kasra. But what is fixed is the grammatical case of the second word, the mudaf ilay, the one that is doing the possessing, has to be in the genitive case, majroor, in this case with a kasra. Right? Everybody clear on that? Good. So we have manfi masjid al-jami'ati al-an. So who is in the university's masjid? What is al-an, Sa'id? Yes, Sister Musarrat.
Now, right now.
Al-an means right now. What's the response mean? Sa'id, can you translate for us the response? Sorry, you're muted.
Okay. ما فيه أحد.
What does that mean?
Okay. ما فيه أحد in who is in the masjid? There is one person in the masjid.
There's one person in the masjid. Sister Musarrat, help him out.
Not a soul.
Yes. None. Zero. Absolutely no one.
Ma. Okay. Allah. No one.
That's good. Why? Why? Because this is what we learned, I think, earlier this lesson or the previous lesson. That ma, we learned how to negate jumla ismiya, right? So jumla ismiya, let's take the affirmative statement. We said there's, if we want to say there's one person in the masjid, fihi ahadun, right? If we want to negate that, we said ma fihi ahadun. There is not a single person. And if we wanted to make a question, we would substitute the ma for like a hamza or hal. Afihi ahadun? Is there a single person in there? Right? Now, what's going on with ahad, as Sister Musarrat mentioned in the chat, that there's a difference between wahid and ahad. And if any of you followed along with the 99 Names of Allah series that we did for the kids, you would know that wahid means one, whereas ahad means unique, singular one. Right? And so the meaning here is emphatic, right? If we say ma fihi wahad, is like there's you know, not there's no one in there, maybe we translate it like that. But if we say ma fihi ahadun, it's like there's not a single person in there. Yeah, not a soul. Exactly. So it's extra emphasis, and this is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses this word in Qul huwa Allahu ahadun. He didn't say Qul huwa Allahu wahadun. That wahidun, that would be correct, but it's not as emphatic, it's not as significant. Like the single unique, right? Ma means no, there is not. Fihi, inside it. In this case, the it refers to the masjid, which is masculine. Ahadun, a single one. Is everybody clear on that one? This is a very useful phrase. Ma fihi ahadun. It comes up a lot. Okay, and Sister Sahar, could you do number 5 for us?
من في هذه الغرفة فيها المدير.
Good, translate for us.
Who is in the room, in this room?
Okay.
فيها المدير. And it's the manager.
Good. Okay. Now I'm going to pick on you a little bit. The answer here. Break it down for me. What type of sentence is this? Jumla ismiya or jumla fi'liya?
اسمية.
Ismiya. Fantastic. Okay. What are the two parts of a jumla ismiya?
Two parts, meaning okay, you mean because of the al-ghurfa?
No, forget about that. Just any jumla ismiya, it has to have two parts. You remember what the two parts are? The first part, mubtada
and khabar, yeah.
Exactly. Mubtada is the subject, the khabar is the information about the subject. Okay. What is the mubtada in this sentence?
Mubtada, subject. So
what are we talking
about? Talking about that who is in the room.
Okay.
So subject is gonna be room.
Well, we don't have room, right? We have fiha and we have al-mudir.
Oh, okay. So mudir is the subject.
Fantastic. Good job. Yes, you're right. And fiha is khabar. Fantastic. Very good. Which is tricky, right? Because they switched the order because we're responding directly to the question. Men fiha, right? We took the form and we spit it right back out. Now, last question, Sister Sahab. What is the grammatical case of the mubtada and the khabar? They're both the same grammatical case.
It's mudaf and mudaf ilayh.
Nope. By grammatical case, I mean, is it marfu'?
Oh.
Is it mansub?
It's majroor.
It's majroor. Okay. You're telling me that the mubtada is majroor.
Yes, the but فيها I don't know about فيها. Why does the ha have kasra?
It is a hard
because it's mabni.
What's mabni?
The ha.
The ha is mabni, yes. The ha is mabni. The ha is not going to change.
فيها المدير.
Why is mudir with a kasra? If mudir you just told me is mubtada.
Because it's because of the pronoun.
Because al-mudir is a pronoun or because of the ha?
No, fiha.
Fiha. Oh, that's the confusion of the sentence. That's why I'm picking on you. Okay, let's have Sister Musarat help her out.
It should be marfu'. It should be al-mudiru.
Correct. It should be al-mudiru. Right. This is why you see we're building our Arabic grammar like a palace, right, from the basement up. Right, so we deal with the defaults and then we deal with anything else that comes, like the window trim, you know, and the little flourishes here, some French doors over here, right? Those are the non-essential things. The essential things, jumla ismiya, two parts, mubtada and khabar. Mubtada and khabar are marfu'. Marfu', always. Always. Except there can sometimes something can come into the sentence, it can be introduced in the sentence that takes a word away from that grammatical case into another grammatical case. Okay, so al-mudiru, if we're going to straighten this sentence out, it's al-mudiru fiha, right? Al-mudiru is mubtada, fiha is the khabar. But the doubt that comes into your mind, and everybody's mind, because it happens to everybody, is wait a second, I know that fi is a preposition. And I know that everything that happens after a preposition has to be majrur. So why isn't it al-mudiru? And the answer to that is because al-mudiru has nothing to do with fi. The ha receives the action of fi, okay? And since ha is mabni, it does not change, then that means nothing in this sentence is going to be majrur, at least that we can see, okay? Think about it as a dead end, right? Or think about it as like, we're all getting vaccines, or maybe some of us are for the pandemic, right? The idea of getting the vaccine is that the virus kind of dies with you. It doesn't spread to anybody else. If you have something that's mebni, like ha, and it is actually tied to this preposition, then that means that the work of the preposition, which is making things majrur, dies right here with the pronoun. That means it doesn't carry over to the words that come after it. Okay? So fiha, done. Al-mudiru, because al-mudiru is mubtada and mubtada is marfu', and marfu' here is with a dhamma on the end. The ha, or if it were hu, or if it was ka, any of the possessive pronouns cuts off the work of the fi or any other preposition, and that work of the preposition does not apply to anything else. And if we think about it from another angle, it's because what is the, like, fi means in, okay? In what? We're saying in the room, okay? We're not saying in the mudir. If we were to make al-mudiri, it would almost be like we would be saying in the mudir, in the principal, or in the manager, or whatever, right? Because in order to receive the work of the preposition, it would have to have the correct meaning, right? The corresponding meaning that the preposition was specifically tied to that word, which it isn't. Actually, al-mudir is actually the one that is inside and not the thing that is being inhabited. Okay, so there's a couple different ways to look at it. Does that make sense? Crickets. There's three different ways to look at it. Way number one is that you disentangle the sentence. You put it back in its proper order. Okay, if you put it back in its proper order, the proper, like, we'll say original order. The original order of the sentence is al-mudiru fiha. And in that situation, it's clear. There's no possible way that it could be al-mudiri fiha. Okay, so then if we're going to chop up the sentence and just rearrange the parts, stick fiha in front and put al-mudir behind, why would it be any different? That's the first way to look at it. The second way to look at it is that fi is attached to ha. And ha is a pronoun, and a pronoun is fixed. So if the ha, for example, the ha, what does it stand for? The ha stands for ghurfa, al-ghurfa. So what if we said we wanted to be a little more clear, we don't want to use the pronoun. We'll go back to fil ghurfati. Right? Let's substitute the actual noun for the pronoun that's supposed to reference to it, or refer to it. Fil ghurfati al-mudiru. It wouldn't be fil ghurfati al-mudiri, because what we're talking about in is the ghurfa. We're not talking about something that's inside the mudir. And that's the third and last, that's a segue to the last way to look at it, perhaps, that what's going on what's the actual preposition talking about? It's talking about being inside of something. What are we inside? We're inside the room. We're not inside the mudir, which means that the grammatical work or the grammatical effect or the grammatical action is going to occur to the thing corresponding to its meaning, right? It's talking about being in the room, not in the manager or not in the mudir. And so the grammatical work of making it majroor is only going to apply to that thing that corresponds to that meaning. In this case, it happens to be a pronoun and the pronoun is fixed, and so it does not change at all.
So if you change it to fi ghurfatil mudiri, then you're saying that this is in the principal's room.
Okay,
yes?
right. Exactly.
You're not saying that the principal is in the room. You're just saying that this is the principal's room, and now you need to add something more because, etc.
Exactly. That's not a complete sentence, right? If you say fi ghurfatil mudiri, this is saying something entirely different. It's saying in the principal's room, ... You still haven't completed the thought. Exactly. That's exactly it. Al-mudiru is the subject. It's what we're talking about. And so al-mudir has to be marfu' with dhamma. A little tricky, right? Any other questions? Anything not clear? Anyone want to go over anything a second time? This will keep coming back to us, so we will see it again. Part of the confusion is that Arabic, the flipping of the khabr and mubtada. And we will learn soon, inshallah, the situations in which the khabr is allowed to come before the mubtada. Okay. It doesn't change the meaning of the sentence at all. It changes a little bit the emphasis, but it doesn't change the meaning. And so English, what we're running up against is that English is an analytic language, is that word order is everything. All meaning is attached to the word order. So if you chop up the word order, oh boy, you've changed the meaning entirely. Arabic, no. Synthetic language. It's not nearly as dependent on word order as analytic languages. And so yes, very often you can take the different parts of a sentence, whether it's mubtada khabar or whether it's fi'l, fa'il, maf'ul, and you can rearrange them. Put them here, put them there, tack them on at the end, throw them up in the beginning, and the meaning still stands. So there's a little bit of foreignness or familiarity that needs to be developed with kind of this logic of a different type of language. Okay, Sheikh family, lead us off here. Iqra, we're just going to read. Someone do number 1.
Uhibbu abi wa ummi.
Good. Uhibbu is a present tense verb that means I love. From hub. Ba means to love. Hub, we have Habib, right? The famous Dagestani fighter, right? Habib. Or we say Habibi, my beloved, right? You hear that probably from the Arabic speakers in your life a lot. Habib, it all has to do with love. So uhibbu, and honestly, this verb is of a morphological pattern that is well above what we're capable of explaining and teasing out at this point. So just take it on faith that this is I love. Uhibbu. And now you have another word in your toolbox. You can say uhibbu qalami, uhibbu zawji, uhibbu Allah, uhibbu al-Qur'ana, right? And now you can say a couple more things. So we have uhibbu abi wa ummi. Very good. I love my father and my mother. This is a jumla fi'liya. A jumla fi'liya. And we're going to break it down into its parts after we get through the reading. Dr. Zia, can you do number 2?
أحب أخي وأختي.
Good. Number 3. Back to the Sayyids. Someone from the Sayyid family.
أحب زميلي.
Very good. I love my classmate. Dr. Muhsin, number 4.
أحب أستاذي.
Good. Ustad is a teacher. So Ustadi, my teacher. Very good. Sister Sahar, number 5.
أحب الله.
Very good. Uhibbullaha. Let's talk about that in a second. I love Allah. Sister Musaqat, number 6. Sister Musarat, number 6.
So sorry. I'm sorry, I was distracted for a second.
No worries.
So do I have to do number 5?
Number 6.
أحب النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم.
Very good.
I love the Prophet, so may Allah's peace and blessings be upon him.
Very nice. And number 7, Brother Sa'id.
Number 7. أحب اللغة العربية.
Very nice. Very nice. I love the Arabic language. Okay, let's break this down. So this is a different type of sentence. This is the second and main type of sentence in Arabic. It is a jumla fi'liya, a verbal sentence. We said that a verbal sentence has to have 2 parts, often has 3 parts. The first part is the fi'l, and fi'l means the verb. That's by definition what distinguishes a jumla fi'liya. Okay, with a kasra. Okay, then comes the fa'il. Fa'il is the doer of the verb. And then comes the maf'ul, and the maf'ul is the object of the verb. Now, not every verb requires an object. Just like in English, we have verbs that are transitive and verbs that are intransitive. And what that means is that some verbs require an object and some don't. I say, I sat, right? Sitting does not require an object. There's the person who is sitting and you just leave it at that, right? But if you say, I hit, hitting requires an object. Or I saw, seeing requires an object. What did you see? I saw a child or something like this, right? So we have 2 essential ingredients and we have 1 ingredient that's not absolutely essential, but is often there as well. This is the default order, just like the default order of Jumla Ismiya is Mubtada Khabar, right? But however, we have seen, because now we're, mashallah, moving right along through the book, that there are times where the Khabar is going to come before the Mubtada. Well, there are also times where this sentence order can get chopped around and mixed up. The maf'ul can come first. Yes, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran, for example, wants to emphasize the object of a verb, that can happen. And so on and so forth. So looking at these examples that we have here. Okay, last thing I'll say about the defaults with Jumla Fi'liya. Okay, we have verbs and the grammatical case of verbs. Some types of verbs are mabni, meaning that they are fixed. They do not change according to grammatical case. And some are mu'rab, meaning that they do change. Mu'rab is the opposite of mabni. They will change their ending according to grammatical case. Which ones are which? How do I tell? Quite simply put, all verbs by default are mabni except for present tense verbs. Present tense verbs are mu'rab. They will change their endings to reflect grammatical case, and we'll get into that. So if you have a jumla fi'liya, you're most likely going to be dealing with a verb that has no grammatical case. It's mabni. If you happen to have a present tense verb, and these are present tense verbs, uhibbu, then it will change according to grammatical case, and the default grammatical case is marfu, just like the mubtada, just like the khabar. In this case, uhibbu has an u at the end. It is marfu' with a dhamma. Easy enough. Fa'il is always going to be marfu', just like mubtada and just like khabar. And the maf'ul is going to be the different one. So in jumla ismiya, we had something called majroor, which by definition is talking about the relationship between two objects. Maf'ul is going to be a different case that we have not really formally learned yet, called mansoob, which is the accusative case in English. It means the object of a verb, and it is usually going to be demonstrated by a fatha. So we have, for example, uhibbullaha. Yes, uhibbullaha. Uhibbun nabiyya with a fatha, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Allah is the object of the verb, and Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam is the object of the verb. Uhibbu al-lughata al-arabiyyata. Al-lughata is the object of the verb, maf'ul mansoob. And al-arabiyya is an adjective describing al-lugha, which is why it has to follow al-lugha in all the four things. We have definite, definite, mansoob, mansoob, singular, singular, feminine, feminine. Okay? Everybody with me? Oops. Sorry, I just saw. Okay, everybody with me so far with that? Fi'l, fa'al,
Good.
bi? Sire,
Good.
does it always take fatha because it's maf'ul? No. Just like we learned with marfu', there are certain types of words that are marfu' with a dhamma, and they're the majority. But there are other types of words that show that they're marfu' through other ways, such as with a waw. Okay? Same thing applies here. The maf'ul is mansoob, no problem. Singular nouns, certain types of plurals are going to show that it's mansoob with a fatha. Other types of words that we have not learned yet are going to show that it's mansoob with in a different way, either with an alif or a ya or something else. But we're not there yet. Right now, just like you learned that dhamma is the typical sign of being marfu', nominative case, now you're learning that fatha is the typical sign of being mansoob, accusative case. Okay. Uhibbu allaha, uhibbu nabiyya, uhibbu al-lughata al-arabiyyata. Okay, why did I start with the last three examples? Why didn't I go with uhibbu zamili? Oh no, where did the fatha go? Somebody explain. Where did the fatha go with uhibbu zamili? Are you volunteering, Syra?
She is, yes.
No.
I heard the mic get unmiked, so I was like, okay, let's.
Listen,
You're telling me.
I'm just speculating
Speculate. Let's speculate. Come on.
Speculate.
because it's like my father.
Zamili.
Oh, it's me,
My classmate.
my classmate.
Yes, you're right. And there's something particular about that construction, my, the possessive pronoun. We say that it's fixed, it's mebni, okay? The pronouns are fixed. That's the big thing to take away from this lesson. Pronouns are fixed. It's not going to change its ending to show grammar. And so because we have my father, my mother, my classmate, my brother, my teacher, it's going to be fixed. It's not going to change, okay? Same thing if it was ka, like yours, or ki, yours feminine, right? It's not going to change because it's a pronoun. Pronouns are fixed. Whereas these down here, uhibbullaha, uhibbun nabiyya, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, uhibbul lughata, al-arabiyyata, there's no possessive pronouns there, right? And so the endings are going to reflect the grammatical case. Brother Sarah, you have a question?
No, I just wanted to answer the question, but somebody just already answered. Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
Yep, thank you. Okay, last thing, because we're over time, is that we talked about maf'ul, very good. Let's just identify where is the fa'il and where is the fi'l here, because if you're smart, lakum dinukum waliya deen. Lakum dinukum waliya. I don't know. Top of my head, waliya. I need to look. Wali. I don't know. I'll need to look. But I'll say off the top of my head, and this is not an answer to your question. When it comes to no, I won't even say that. I don't know off the top of my head. I'll have to look that up. Let's just quickly identify where the fi'l and where the fa'il is here, because if you're smart, you're like, wait a second, there's only one word here. Uhibbu. How is it that you're telling me that jumla fi'liya has to have a fi'l, it has to have a fa'il, and yet I only see one word? Okay, this fa'il, it can be stated with a noun directly, or it can be implied exactly with the conjugation of the verb. So the verbs are conjugated, right? Uhibbu literally means I love because of how it's conjugated. This letter right here, u, means, and we're not going to learn this now because we haven't, this is like jumping onto a bicycle before having training wheels, so we're not going to like actually learn it, but the u here means I, and the uhibbu is the verb. If it were he loves, it would be yuhibbu, or if it were you love, tuhibbu, right? The verb is going to be conjugated to according to who's doing the action, right? So it comes as a pair here. Uhibbu, I love. It's all contained in that one word. So we don't need to have a separate word here. So we have all three parts of the sentence. Uhibbu, we have fi'l, we have fa'il, and we have maf'ul, Allah in this case, and the other ones. Anyone have any questions about anything? Sire, is that your hand up? Okay, this
No, just didn't know how to remove it. No,
okay.
thank you.
Yep. No, thank you. Okay. A lot of information. Those are the important things. Important things are that pronouns are fixed. Okay. Number one. And number two, jumla fi'liya. What are the parts? What are the default grammatical rulings for those parts? And we will be in the next lesson talking about learning a little bit of conjugation. So now the only thing that's left for us, now that we've got our feet wet with verbs, now we have to learn how to conjugate those verbs, right? How do we say I sat, he sat, she sat, you sat, they sat, we sat, etc., etc. So that is exciting, and good work to everybody. If there's no other questions, then we'll end it here. I've already gone well over time. Thank you very much for your attention and participation. ذلك والله تعالى أعلم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.